Hello and welcome back to the Digital Nomad series. I'm Cassidy Amber Chapman. If you're just popping on to this video, start at whatever video you want. I don't care. But if you do want to see that there was a previous video of explaining the series, explaining the story, then you can go back. So, I left off on a pretty dramatic note. And that's actually how it felt in my life. So I had left off with the Digital Nomad series of, I had left on a one-way ticket to Florida. I had the most incredible time. I had planned a trip around the US that I was just going to, I felt like I had touched the alchemical gold of being able to teach people how to love their lives and build lives they love and be living my golden standard life. I was just so excited. And if you see a notebook in my hand, it is because I have notes just in case I need to look down. And again, this is going to be a raw, unedited series because again, we do not have time to edit. I just want to share this story. So after I had planned this trip, I had booked my next Airbnb. I was so excited. I got a call that had me take an emergency flight back to the US. I was in the US. I was in Florida. I went back to Boston. Again, raw, unedited. And I was traumatized. But again, I had the tools and I had so much support. I had more tools in my tool belt for emotional processing, for learning how to calm my nervous system down, how to give myself the space to grieve, give myself the space to understand what was going on. And thank God I had a business that allowed me to also take the break I needed. I took a small break and then I was able to come back full force. But at first it was really hard. And although there was the explorer in me, I was exploring now again back into more of emotional processing tools and healing modalities and ways to help transform my clients and just really immersing in using my explorer for exploring the inner depths of myself, of my past, of my childhood, all of the things. So I was really utilizing this time to heal and also to grow my business. But there was still this part in me that wanted to just travel. There was a part in me that felt this, it's time to go off again. But every time that feeling would come, I would immediately suppress it. Again, not consciously, but because something so traumatic had happened the last time I left. It had really felt unsafe to buy a one-way ticket again, not because I was unsafe, but because I had to take an emergency flight back, very traumatically. And it was really, really tough. But again, I was loving the life that I was living. I had never felt so in love with my life, and I thought that was enough. Honestly, I was so happy. It didn't really matter that I wasn't exploring, wasn't traveling the world yet, because I was just getting happier and happier with the way that I was creating my life. And even in Boston, I started to create the most incredible community. Like I just was hanging out with the most precious individuals, and I was loving every part of my life. And so when you're loving your life, sometimes it's like, well, I don't really need to have whatever this extra thing is. And so I really do believe that everything happens for a reason. And I probably wasn't meant to travel across the US in that way at that time. But there was still this whisper of, there's more. But I honestly was enjoying my life so much. I was so happy with the way I was serving my clients, and my everything just felt so aligned, so amazing. So it didn't feel like it mattered. Now, again, just kept feeling this call for more. And so I started becoming Nomad Light, was what I like to call it. I didn't know that I was doing this until after I realized afterwards when I look back, oh yes, I was doing Nomad Light. So I was invited to a retreat on a super yacht in Croatia. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. I could feel in my heart like I really wanted to go, but also I was terrified. If I leave, is everything going to crash and burn again? Like, there was just a feeling that I had to be in Boston, because otherwise, if I left, then everything would fall apart. That's just the way that my body felt. It's just the way, not that I felt consciously, but a little bit, right? And so I said, okay, let's do it. It was a 2-week trip, something like that. And it was just going to be a trip of a lifetime. I went. I mean, it was everything I dreamt of and more. I didn't have much expectations, so there could be that part. But I mean, first of all, I had never been on a yacht before. I never stayed on a boat. I had never done a cruise or anything like that. And it was the most incredible experience of my life. I love water. I love boats. And so I had this disassociation. I was like, yachts, that's for, people who are super snotty or whatever. And I don't like those things because I'm not snotty, right? But when I got on it, I was like, oh my God, I love it. I absolutely love being on the water. I love hearing the waves crash on the boat at night. I loved being on the water and just moving. And for me, it was a new experience of, I kind of like this. I kind of like this. And it was an incredible retreat where I met the most incredible people. And if you want to know the retreat that I went to, because they continue to have more retreats and they are incredible, just go ahead and comment below and I will give you the retreat name. And not sponsored by them, I just had a really great time. And I was just in love with the whole experience. And I was just so grateful for my friends that invited me, because I don't think I would have left the US or left to go travel if it wasn't for them. Just they knew everything that had happened and they wanted to just, come on, let's go to Croatia. Let's have a great time. Let's meet a bunch of cool people and let's do some cool workshops and stuff. And so I had an amazing time. Now, after Croatia, I came back. It was just, I had such an incredible time. My body and my nervous system was starting to recognize, okay, this might be okay and this might be safe. So a couple months later, a bunch of my friends were going to this month-long event in Estonia. Again, if you want that event, just comment below, tell me, and I will tell you about it because it was incredible. Again, not sponsored. I just loved it. If you want to hear about that event. And there was nothing like living with friends, exploring the city, doing these really cool workshops, meeting these super cool people. Again, my whole heart was fluttering because it just felt exactly where I needed to be, which was exploring, which was meeting new people, which was, I don't know, sharing myself, sharing my work. I was meeting a bunch of new clients in person, and so it was a great business-wise opportunity, and just connecting with more people and being able to serve more people is just making me so happy. And I loved every part of it. And I was there for about a month. Yeah. There was moments in Estonia during that time in the summer. There's only sunlight. There's only darkness for like 3 hours. So it's sunlight for pretty much the whole day and night, which does mess up your circadian rhythm for sure. I was eating dinner at like 1 a.m. sometimes because I was confused. But it was a memory that I'll forever keep in my heart. And those people that I met and the experiences that we had and the memories that we made, both in Croatia and in Estonia, it was, again, like fire igniting in my soul. And so when I came back, it was almost like, oh, I don't want to come back. But I could have kept exploring, but I felt I could have kept exploring because I had an online business. I could have kept exploring because I was invited to other countries. But I just felt like I couldn't. It was a month and I came back. And when I came back, again, I can't even, I'm almost speechless at times at the community that had been built after that. I mean, I had a strong community beforehand, but even after coming back from Estonia, that's when I started becoming a bachata and salsa dancer and that whole community. And I had a whole healing hippie community. I had amazing friends. I had it's just community after community after community. I never felt lonely. It was just, I had been overwhelmed with the international community that I had created for online for many years. Being able to immerse in international communities while I went, a lot of my friends, they're not even from the US. They're from all around the world. Think of a continent. I probably have a friend there. And it's crazy to say that, but it's true. And I just couldn't believe my life. The communities that I was a part of. And the people of those communities, it wasn't people needing things from you. It was just love being shared. It was just joy being shared. I had never experienced friendships and communities like this had unfolded. And especially being able to meet your online friends in person and really seeing like those are real connections, and being able to hug those beautiful people, it's a whole other, I love it. I absolutely love every part of it. And I wish I could explain, and maybe one day I will be able to, the love. And this is why it's really important for me to also build communities. I built group programs and international events because I want people to experience this. So now that I have this, and now that I have a really strong community in Boston, before I left, when I had come back from Florida and before I had left to these trips, I was starting to build a really strong community, and I thought that that's all it was. And when I came back, I built even stronger community, and I was like, wow, okay. Now there's this push and pull, feeling like there's more for me to explore, not really knowing what that means. Again, I really didn't know what a digital nomad was. I heard about it, especially in the event in Estonia, because a lot of people there were digital nomads. But again, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't understand what it looked like. Again, this is why I'm doing this series, to help demystify some of what it is. And see, this is where the mistakes come. And we're not editing, but where am I? Okay. So now I am having a push and pull of me wanting to leave, feeling the calling. Like there's just something in my intuition. There's something in my gut telling me you need to go. And since Estonia, for some reason, it was this calling I felt for Colombia. I don't know why. It just started calling me like, come here, Cassidy, come here. Colombia is where you need to be. And I couldn't explain it, but I just kept feeling like, you know what? I feel like I'm going to be in Colombia. I feel like I'm going to be there for a couple months. Now, my first initial idea for Colombia was that I was going to go for 3 to 6 months, learn some Spanish, come back. And at this point in the journey, I had been learning Spanish for a little while now, struggling and learning, but learning Spanish because I just felt a calling to learn Spanish. And so that was kind of, I just wanted to immerse, kind of like study abroad. I wanted to study abroad again, because after my study abroad experience in Italy, I knew that I wanted to study abroad or live in a different country for a couple of months to just immerse myself in some Spanish speaking culture. And so I was like, okay, that was just my intention, was just go for a couple months and come back. But every time I felt like leaving, all these excuses came up. Excuses about feeling like it was going to take so much money to be able to do, because when I would look at what I wanted to book, it would be so expensive. I would be trying to create budget sheets and I was like, this is so expensive to do. What am I missing? Or I can't do this. Or there was just so many excuses that just really weren't real. Now when I look back, it wasn't real. That wasn't a real excuse. Although in our bodies and in the moment, it can feel so real to feel like the excuse of we don't have enough money. It can feel like the excuse of we don't have enough time. It can feel the excuse of I can't leave because if I do leave, then everything's gonna fall apart. And those weren't real. Those weren't real experiences. But the fears felt so real. I remember going to therapy again to kind of talk about the traumatic experience that had happened and to kind of try to heal from it. And she could tell that I just wanted to go to Colombia. It was something that was just a fire in my soul. It was something that I knew I needed to do. And she was like, you can do it. And I was telling her every excuse in the book, that everything was going to fall apart if I left, that I didn't have enough money, I didn't know what I was doing, who was I supposed to be a solo female traveler, that I didn't know Spanish well enough, or I gave so many excuses. And she looked at me like, these are false, these are fake. And so I was like, they are real, they are real. I was so convinced by my excuses. Now I look back, they were completely excuses. So know that you're not alone if you believe your excuses. And just know, I'm going to lovingly invite you to see that your excuses are not real. They're illusions, and you can get rid of them with some real dose of reality. And I know that can create some kind of a resistance, but I understand. So where was I? Now I have this therapist telling me, and I had a bunch of coaches telling me, like, go. You're gonna be fine. But I felt it was impossible. So at that point I said, okay, I forget which month this was, but it was like 6 months before whatever January is, whatever that is. But January of 2023 was gonna be when I left to go to Colombia. And the closer I was getting to it, the closer I was getting to the people of the communities that I was in. And it felt like, well, you know what? I don't really want to leave. I have such a good community here. And again, all of the excuses just got louder and louder and louder and louder. And then after January, so this in about April, around my birthday. The month after, May. Yeah. April was amazing. I had a great birthday. Last year, my birthday was incredible. Talk about bachata circles and everything. That's a whole other story. But May, everything started to fall apart. And anytime things are falling apart in your life, know that the most incredible blessings are about to come through. And at this time of my life, when things start to fall apart and more traumatic experiences start to happen, I'm like, yay, I don't know what's about to happen, but it's about to be good. Because every time I go through something traumatic, it only gets better. So honestly, bring it on. That's where I'm at right now. Loving your life is not avoiding pain. It is loving the whole journey and really preparing yourself for the blessings that all of these trials and tribulations bring. Not that trials and tribulations don't happen, because you're not living if trials and tribulations aren't happening. So, more traumatic experiences began to happen. And you know what? that is where I'll stop again. I like to stop at the trauma and leave you on a cliffhanger to tell you to go to the next one because it's about to get good. So go ahead and watch the next part of the Digital Nomad series of my life now as a digital nomad, year 1 of Digital Nomad series. Year 1 of my Digital Nomad life series. So I will see you in the next one, and remember to be brave, to be bold, and to be who you're meant to be.